Chapter 7. Instincts Turned Inside Out. Instincts allow your internal vision to become an external reality. Often, this process of actualization may involve unexpected and even unorthodox methods of discovery and application. I'll never forget the time when I was a boy and dressed myself for a very big event our family was attending. Normally, I would have gotten some assistance, but I've always been a bit precocious, and I really didn't think I needed help. Mother had already told me what to wear. I was a big boy, and I thought I knew what to do. So I reasoned, I can handle this, and proceeded to wiggle my way into my wardrobe. Like any family with young children, of course, we were running late, so I jumped in the back seat of the car, out of the view of my parents. I started to play with my siblings, which is always what the youngest does, torment the others. Rather proud of myself for getting dressed without assistance, as we giggled and laughed, clowned, and cut up. I never realized that the biggest laugh of the day was ultimately about to be on me. Shortly after we arrived and were engulfed by the crowd, I heard some other children giggling at me. They began to point, and the sniggling grew. It seemed I was fully dressed in what had been laid out for me, but my shirt was inside out. It didn't look that bad, but you know how children react to any little thing. Thoroughly humiliated in my childish embarrassment, I ran to my mother to fix the mess I made. Now, being an adult, I fare much better at wearing my shirt the right way. Normally, I can manage to dress myself pretty well. Today's challenge is to get the once unintentional inside-out shirt to become a model for a very intentional living. You see, I have come to understand that the art of being a visionary is to get the inside vision to materialize outside. Your instincts not only give voice to your innovative visions, but they transform mistakes into a mosaic masterpiece. So often we look to others for inspiration, approval, or affirmation of what we should do and how we should do it. But you will never achieve the fulfillment of your vision this way. My friend, you are the singularly most effective source for outwardly manifesting all the visions, inventions, books, or businesses that are naturally part of your gifting. This explains why being copied is never an issue, since true creativity can never be synthesized. Now, many can imitate what you do, but none can duplicate what you do if you produce outwardly what you possess inwardly. If you follow your instincts from the inside out, you emerge in a class all by yourself. You see, there is no one quite like you. You are not created to try and become the next Steve Jobs or Alice Walker or Nelson Mandela or Beyonce. You were created to bring something to this earth that has never crystallized throughout the eons of time. I don't know what that is for you, and you may not have fully discovered it yet, but if you live and lead by your instincts, your rare and precious gift, one of the kind, will emerge. So stop manufacturing synthetic ideas or letting others pull your strings, and you won't have to fight off the competition. Put your seal, your scent, your essence, your DNA on what you produce, and it will forever have that uniqueness. Stop copying and start discovering what is intrinsically within you. Several years ago, I founded a festival called MegaFest, an amalgamation of diverse interests of mine intersecting in one setting. My propensity for business themes and personal health merged with my passion for faith and spirituality. The very first year, over 100,000 people came from all walks of life to attend the event. Multiple countries and cultures were represented, and it was an unprecedented success. However, the indelible moment of satisfaction that still lingers with me occurred the night before MegaFest opened, as I marveled at how my vision had come to life. Without formal training or much experience, my team and I received international kudos for organizing such a massive undertaking with only a few minor glitches. More important, we were able to motivate, inspire, entertain, and invigorate a diverse body of people, encouraging and challenging them to enjoy the contentment that comes from living in the bull's eye of their life's God's-given goals. Through that first MegaFest, I gained an even greater appreciation for what it means to actualize your instincts and live from the inside out. Instinct takes inventory. Before you build a team, open a ministry, start a business, launch a concept, or develop a plan, you must begin to inventory what's on the inside of you. There is some powerful potion that's inherent in people who produce outwardly what is theirs. No, I didn't ask you what you could afford or what you studied at the university or seminary. I'm merely asking you to understand that instincts began with inclinations that you may not have acted upon but should at least explore. Just as it's possible to have never been exposed to a pool but be gifted as a swimmer, you may not have discovered your arena of greatness yet. Most creative, instinctive people ignite their passion by being exposed, sometimes even in the middle of their lives, to new ideas, other people, unusual positions, and unknown careers that they may not have encountered in their upbringing or normal environment, and yet they find themselves innately drawn to the beauty of a work of art, the brilliance of a new app, or the insight of fresh voices. Scripture tells us that deep calls out to deep, and I'm convinced that those people, places, and perspectives that resonate with us often do so because of a shared kindred quality. When something you encounter resonates with you, pay attention, become a student of your deepest passions and most persistent curiosities. Notice the people you admire and feel drawn to emulate. We instinctively recognize members of our own tribe, no matter how different they may look. Just because the goose lays eggs on land doesn't negate the fact that her offspring are drawn to the water, and the so-called ugly duckling often realizes they are really a swan in disguise. Can you go past where you started to discover what you could be? Listen to your instincts and you will find your power. Our greatest power doesn't always emerge from our experiences, not even from our most intense ones. There's incredible hidden treasure locked up in your instincts that may not always show on your resume. If you can spend some time with yourself, you may be on the verge of the most powerful part of your life, discovering what's inside that your instincts want to express outside. Think about what you gravitate toward when given time to relax and recharge. Are you always watching cooking shows on the Food Network, tinkering with recipes to make them your own? Maybe you're exploring new apps, thinking about the ones you wish existed that you can't find. Do you find yourself pursuing history books and travel brochures about a foreign land or culture that captivates you? Are you drawn to the latest leadership training course that's coming to town? Paying attention to what nourishes and stimulates your heart, soul, and imagination leads to listening to your instincts. In turn, listening to your instincts jumpstarts the process of creating the fabric of your destiny. Like a designer sewing a garment, you take the vision within you and bring it to life in a suit to be worn for your next season of life. You are instinctively best at inventing what is in your inventory. Instinct adapts. When you follow your instincts and transform your vision into reality, you will discover that accidents, mistakes, and conflicts become creative material. Rarely do you have everything you think you need in order to succeed. Living by instincts allows you to adapt to change and grow stronger. Instinct often processes, learns, and accepts change before we do. Once our emotions, intentions, and abilities catch up, we move forward one step closer to seeing our dreams realized. This idea began as a hypothesis in me and was affirmed as I deepened my research and discovered some compelling studies on the subjects of creativity and innovation. I've always believed that we are an extremely adaptable species. Our country's development reveals this adaptability in our founders' tenacious pursuit of creating a powerful new nation, even amid the uncharted wilderness of a brand new frontier, or at least it was new to them. My ancestors modeled the concept of instinctive adaptability when were snatched from their motherland and had to adapt to a world that was not only brutal but totally unfamiliar. New language, new faith, new foods, new customs, and new rules of engagement. I don't know how they survived such a hostile takeover of their heritage and culture, but they survived and adapted and endured. I can see it in my own life as I have survived many changes of my worldview, catastrophic economic and health challenges, losses, disappointments, and moments of intense anguish. I have survived the magnanimous moments of intense accomplishments that catapulted me into strange new arenas for which I had no grooming or preparation. Trust me, both success and struggle are different kinds of trauma. But at my core, I have always been a survivor, and though I may react to the trauma emotionally, shed private tears, have a meltdown away from people, or enjoy a complete one flew over the cuckoo's nest episode, when I'm finished expressing emotion, I keep on keeping on. When I finish my rant, tantrum, or moment of grief, I move into the instinctive survival mode that has empowered humans to endure plights and pleasures of all kinds. Change is often as painful for me to endure as it is for anyone else, but I have learned to take the bitter with the sweet and keep on moving forward. Everything I have been able to accomplish and most of the exceptional accomplishments of others I've witnessed result from something that's hardwired into our cores. Some download better than others, but I believe all of us have more talent stocked in our inventory than life's demands have required from us. It could be that oppositions and opportunities alike challenge us to draw from our inventory that which we might have been oblivious to otherwise. Think of how many things you had in you that required a challenge or a change to help you discover, utilize, and embrace. Instinct inspires. As I've researched adaptability, I've discovered some critical information on what I see as a pattern. Science teaches us that the role of instincts in determining behavior of animals varies from species to species. It appears that the more complex the neural system of the animal, the less that species is inclined to rely on instincts. Generally, from a biological perspective, the greater the role of the cerebral cortex, which draws on sociological constructs for learning, the less instinctive the creature becomes. Both its defenses and needs are accomplished by its supreme ability to deduce and decide. It doesn't have to rely on instincts because of its biological neural system. It isn't that the instincts aren't there, they are simply not the primary resource for rescue and resiliency. With this in mind, I wonder if this in fact describes what has happened with us as we react to life in the 21st century. Some people live and lead from their instincts, but most of us rely on intellect, social conditioning, and logic. Myriad voices scream at us daily from every source imaginable, and we sadly become deafened to the whispers of our own instincts. Perhaps in a perfect world, working with someone fully engaged with both would be a dream. They would regard facts but not ignore feelings either. They could censor data meticulously but also have creative instincts capable of overriding what may seem logical on paper but impractical in execution. This is the opiate of advancement. It liberates the soul to escape the obvious when need to be and break beyond the historical orthodoxy of the previously held ideology. Through this union of timely information and the creative impulse of the instinct, we forge ahead into new excursions of ideas. Yes, we all have instincts, intuition, and internal discernment. However, some never allow the activation of what is on the inside. Some people maintain that our intellect should eclipse our instincts. They have even suggested the more cerebral we are, the less we benefit from relying on instincts. Nothing could be further from the truth. Sometimes we've deadened the nerve endings of our instincts by indulging in the luxury of deciding by the numbers and living in the books instead of creating in the crosshairs of crisis. We don't use what we think we don't need, and as long as what we have been taught provides for us, why would we look deeper to unleash the many other gifts that are intrinsically stocked within all of us? Recently, I toured Nike headquarters, and one of the displays had a tennis shoe stuck in a waffle iron. The company's co-founder, Phil Knight, had partnered with a guy named Bill Bowerman, and they each contributed $500 to start the company. In the early years of the company, Bowerman was inspired by a waffle iron to develop a sole for better running with less weight and more traction. Who could have imagined that a waffle iron-inspired running shoe would become an iconic international brand? How's that for out of the box? Our instincts inspire us to look beyond the usual and identify the unusual. If we've attuned our instincts, transfer principles from one field of study to another, mix metaphors that yield new insights, and create fresh designs from tired traditions, our instincts identify relationships among disparate people, places, and principles before we do. They spot patterns, designs, and threads of commonality. Bowerman saw a waffle iron and a tennis shoe and married them into a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Just consider how many people had been exposed to the waffle iron and had seen tennis shoes but didn't have the instinct to converge the two concepts. Can you imagine going to the bank and saying, I have an idea from a waffle iron that is going to make me rich? There was no intelligence to support it. There was no data to refer to. The risk was built on an instinct that paid off with an unprecedented success. Once you have confidence in your instincts, you must never allow other people's refusal to believe or their data to refute. What you instinctively know is true. Your instincts know the blueprint for success that's within you and how to bring it to life all around you. Don't give up or be deterred from your destiny just because it doesn't seem to fit a formula. As we say in Texas, if you believe there's a fox in that hole, point your tail and keep on barking.